Liverpool, 0314 hours, December 7th, 1942. Wind slams against the windows of Western Approach's command like a fist, rattling the blackout panels. The North Atlantic is a cold, black void on every plotting table, streaked with pins marking convoys that, if you listen closely, sound like ticking clocks. A young Wren, her sleeves rolled up past her elbows, leans over a crackling receiver. The room smells of pencil lead, wet wool, and the sour steam rising off mugs of oversteeped tea. Frost clings to the inside of the glass. She adjusts her headset and frowns. Something unusual is breaking through the static. A faint, clipped burst of German Morse. Then another. Then a whole series. Too close together. Too disciplined. She stiffens, lifts her hand. "Ma'am, I think this one's new." Across the room, a duty officer looks up, brow furrowing. Messages at this hour usually mean the same thing they always mean. Another convoy, somewhere out there in the dark, is about to vanish. But this signal feels wrong. Sharper, faster, clean. A U-boat shouldn't be transmitting here. Not tonight. Not on this frequency. You can almost feel the air shift as the officer steps closer, listening to the fragments tapping through the headphones. "Patch it to Bletchley. Now!" And suddenly, the scene cuts, hard, to Bletchley Park, where a lone desk lamp burns in Hut 8. The cold open isn't supposed to land on him, but it does. Harold Linwood, 26, civilian clothes hanging loose on a frame, made thinner by too many nights without sleep, is hunched over a stack of wet, smudged intercepts. One hand rubs at the bridge of his nose. The other traces the same 5-letter groups again and again. He whispers to himself, a habit he's never quite shaken. Why send this here? Why now? His pencil taps twice against the page. Those letters, those impossible jagged strings, aren't random anymore. He can feel it. Something beneath the surface is shifting. Linwood takes a breath and pulls the newest sheet toward him. Even the paper feels cold, like it carried the December sea inside the envelope. The message is short, far too short for routine traffic. And the indicator group, it's off. Subtly, almost imperceptibly, like someone slipped when setting the wheels. He circles it, hard. Outside the hut, wind hammers the wooden walls. Inside, the only sound is the metronome tick of the clock and the faint hiss of the coal stove fighting a losing battle. A codebreaker's world is built on instinct, repetition, and doubt. But this is different. He reaches for the catalog of key settings but stops halfway. No, this one isn't going to break with the day's key, which means something else, something dangerous, is happening beneath the Atlantic. Linwood shoves back from the table, heart pounding. He stands so fast that his knee hits the drawer, sending a stack of cipher sheets sliding to the floor. He doesn't bother picking them up. He grabs his coat and rushes out into the bitter night, boots skidding on frost. His breath hangs in white clouds as he crosses the courtyard toward the communications hut. Inside, a teleprinter bangs relentlessly, spitting out fresh intercepts. A corporal looks up. "You all right, sir? You look like you've seen a... Is Western Approaches sending anything else on the new frequency?" The corporal blinks, thrown off by the urgency. "New frequency, sir." Linwood doesn't answer. He reaches past him, pulling the fresh sheets. His fingers tremble. Another message. Same frequency, same pattern. Short, precise, wrong. The corporal swallows. "Sir, Is that not supposed to exist? Linwood mutters, And that's when the mini reveal hits. This is a U-boat wolfpack coordination signal, but the pack shouldn't be anywhere near Convoy HX-217, unless the Admiralty sent them straight into a trap. Or worse, the Germans already knew the route. Linwood's eyes widen. He bolts for Hut 4 to wake the duty liaison officer. Because if these intercepts are right, and he's praying they aren't, then a convoy in the North Atlantic is sailing blind toward a kill zone. Somewhere in the dark, 40 merchant ships are hours away from disappearing. And only one man at Bletchley Park has noticed the shift in the pattern in time to stop it. He slams open the office door. "Get London on the line, now! We're redirecting a convoy tonight." But the night isn't finished with him yet. On the corporal's abandoned teleprinter, one more message begins to print. Slow, deliberate, and unmistakably ominous. The wolfpack has changed course. Snow flurries drift across the dim courtyard of Bletchley Park as Linwood sprints back toward Hut 8, coat half-buttoned, jaw clenched, breath ragged. The December cold claws at his face, but adrenaline keeps his legs moving. Somewhere out there, across hundreds of miles of black water, Convoy HX-217 plows through swells, unaware that the sea has changed around it. Inside the hut, the night watch looks up, startled. Lamps throw pale circles over piles of intercepts. The stove coughs out heat like it's giving up. A few codebreakers hunch deeper into their scarves, exhausted, but trying not to show it. You can almost feel the tension simmering under the surface. Linwood drops the sheets on the table. Look at the indicator group, the third letter. Watch how it shifts. A bespectacled mathematician peers closer. Could be operator error. Linwood shakes his head. Not twice, and not with this timing. Someone else mutters, U-boat network's been predictable for weeks. They're not. Predictable doesn't mean static. Linwood snaps, then forces his tone down. They're changing the pattern, not the cipher, just the rhythm. A ripple of unease passes through the room. Everyone knows the difference. Breaking Enigma is one thing. Predicting German behavior is another beast entirely. He flips to the second intercept. Look here, another short burst. Same sender profile, same machine signature. 2 signals, 90 minutes apart. That's not a contact report. That's coordination. A silence settles. Boots tap. Someone's pencil breaks. Then a soft voice from the back. If that's coordination, they're closing on something. Exactly. Linwood nods once. HX-217. A few heads snap up. The Admiralty put them on a northern curve, one woman says. Said the weather would mask them. It won't, Linwood replies. Not if the Germans already know the curve. He doesn't raise his voice, but the implication lands like a depth charge. A kettle whistles faintly from the back of the hut. No one moves to claim it. Linwood pushes the intercepts aside and pulls down a map. The North Atlantic sprawls across the table, cold, hostile, scored with convoy lines. Small pencil marks, some erased, some overwritten, show previous U-boat sightings. Look, he says, tracing the path. If the wolfpack shifts 10 degrees east, and if this second intercept is their rally point, he marks it. They're hours from intercept. Someone whispers, God help them. But Linwood isn't done. He reaches for the teleprinter message still drying on the rack. The ink is new. Too new. He holds it up to the lamp. An ominous chill crawls across his spine. Because now, finally, he sees it. These 3 messages, he says slowly, aren't meant for each other. What do you mean? They're meant for someone else, someone coordinating from the center. A senior analyst steps in, rubbing tired eyes. That's impossible. The BDU wouldn't. They would if they're reorganizing. Linwood cuts in. Not the encryption. The command structure. They're tightening control. That's why the bursts are short. They're minimizing exposure. The analyst's jaw tightens. And you're certain this isn't noise? Linwood looks him dead in the eye. I'm certain enough to move a convoy. A beat of silence. Then the analyst exhales. Send it to the Admiralty. At once. The room stirs into motion. Teleprinters warming. Boots moving. Pages shuffling. But beneath the activity is fear. Not panic. Something quieter. The kind of fear only codebreakers know. The fear of being right. Because if Linwood's pattern is real, every ship on that northern route is steaming toward a German trap. Minutes later, the encrypted warning goes out. Western Approach's command receives it with a jolt. And in a smoke-filled operations room hundreds of miles away, a Royal Navy officer stares at the new coordinates, murmuring, "You're telling me to turn 40 ships into a gale?" But he does it. He gives the order. Because Ultra rarely speaks twice. Convoy HX-217 begins a slow, grinding turn into wind and spray. And that is when the next reveal comes in. Back in Hut 8, the teleprinter clacks again. Slow, deliberate, and cruelly steady. Linwood reaches for the new sheet, heart pounding. This time the signal groups are longer, more confident, as if the sender believes no one is listening. The final line makes Linwood's blood run cold. Wolfpack assembled. Hold position. Target approaching. He whispers the words aloud, barely audible. Then he looks up at the map. If his calculations are right, and they have to be, then HX-217's emergency turn puts them just outside the kill zone. Barely. But something is wrong. The wolfpack has stopped moving. They're waiting. For what? Linwood stares at the intercept again, and a single horrifying possibility slips into his mind. What if the Germans weren't tracking the convoy? What if the convoy was sailing straight toward the Germans' new position? He swallows hard. Get me the Admiralty back, he says, already moving toward the door. Now, we're missing something. Because the wolfpack's silence might be the loudest warning yet. The storm over the North Atlantic has teeth. Wind lashes the deck of the lead escort destroyer, HMS Viscount, as she claws through steep black swells. Spray stings like needles. The bridge windows are ghosted with salt. Every metal surface trembles with the deep hum of the engines fighting the sea. Inside, the watch officer keeps one hand braced against the chart table. With every roll of the ship, mugs clatter in their racks and pencils skitter across the surface. A faint smell of diesel, wet rope, and damp wool clings to the air. Convoy turning to 245, a voice calls. Slow but steady. God help the merchantmen, someone mutters. They're wallowing enough already. But no one argues with the order. Ultra says turn, you turn, what they don't know. What only a single codebreaker in a frosted hut back in England is beginning to suspect is that the wolfpack isn't rushing toward them. It's waiting. Bletchley Park, Hut 4, 0152 hours. Linwood paces in tight circles between desks. His boots squeak faintly on the floorboards. A half-drunk cup of tea sits cold on a windowsill. Behind him, 2 women sort intercepts with numbed fingers, their breath faint in the winter air whenever the stove sputters. He can't shake the feeling gnawing at his ribs. Something in the coordination traffic doesn't fit. He spreads the 3 intercepts across the table again, flattening them with his palms. The paper smells faintly of damp canvas from the transit bags. Each has a subtle machine signature, tiny quirks he's learned to spot over months of staring at 5-letter groups until his vision blurred. The first 2 signals came fast. Too fast. The third, slower. Measured. Almost like a confirmation. He murmurs, "You're not chasing them. You're shaping them." A junior analyst leans in. "Sir?" Linwood taps the edge of the 3rd and intercept. "If you wanted to intercept a convoy in open ocean, you'd spread out. Sweep. Search patterns. But they're not sweeping. They're holding." Holding for what? That's what scares me. A gust of wind rattles the windows. Somewhere in the hut, a typewriter carriage slams home. Someone coughs into their sleeve. Linwood reaches for a grease pencil and circles a grid square on the map. The Admiralty thinks the wolfpack was here when the first burst came through. He circles it again. But that's an assumption, based on old sightings. What if they were already repositioning days earlier? Quietly, minimally, reporting only to a central controller? The junior analyst swallows. That would mean that the convoy's turn put them closer, not farther. A pulse of dread moves through the room. North Atlantic, HX-217. Merchant ships heave through the waves in long columns. Funnels glow faintly in the darkness as stokers below decks keep coal fires roaring. The convoy's foghorn low murmurs every few minutes, a sound that vibrates bone. On the bridge of a Norwegian freighter, a bosun wipes sea spray from his brows and mutters, "Where are the U-boats tonight?" A young lookout beside him gives a nervous shrug. Maybe the storm scared them off. Older sailors know better. Storms never scared them off. Storms made their kills cleaner. Down in the radio shack, a telegraphist fiddles with the gain. Only static. Not even a hint of Morse. The silence is eerie. He glances at his petty officer. "Sir, it's too quiet." Back in England, Linwood grabs his coat again. "I'm going to the liaison office. We need the Admiralty on alert. Something's wrong." The senior analyst raises a brow. "They already redirected the convoy." "It's not enough." "It's never enough," the analyst murmurs. But he doesn't stop him. Linwood pushes out into the freezing night, boots crunching on thin crusts of ice. His breath fogs in front of him. The blackout lantern outside Hut 4 swings on its hook, creaking. When he reaches the liaison building, the door is half open, warm light spilling across the snow. The duty officer, a Royal Navy lieutenant with sleeves rolled up, looks up from a clutter of reports. "Linwood, you look like hell." "There's been an error," Linwood says, breathless. "Not in the cipher, in our assumption. The convoy turn may have put them into the wolfpack's lap." The lieutenant's jaw tightens. "You're certain?" "Not certain." He swallows. "Worried." The lieutenant stares a moment, weighing the risk. Then he nods at the teleprinter. "Let's wake London." As the message starts punching onto paper, the hut fills with the rattling chatter of the machine, the sound echoing off wooden walls. Linwood watches the tape spool out. His fingers tighten. Because the Atlantic is quiet tonight. Too quiet. And if he's right, the silence is about to break. Hard. A klaxon suddenly blares in the communications hut, a maritime emergency tone. The lieutenant's head snaps toward the receiver. God, that's HX-217's escort frequency. Linwood feels his stomach drop. The Atlantic has just spoken. North Atlantic, 0211 hours. The gale hasn't eased. Waves slam against hulls hard enough to rattle every rivet. The horizon is a smear of darkness and spindrift. No stars, no moon, just a black ceiling pressing down on the convoy. On HMS Viscount, the emergency signal bursts into the bridge headphones. A wireless operator yanks off his headset, voice tight. Sir, possible contact ahead. Escort corvette reports. Faint sonar echo. Bearing 180. The watch officer stiffens. That close? Could be false. Storm interference. But no one believes that. Everyone feels the pressure shift in their gut. The ship rolls hard to starboard. Boots skid across the deck. A helmsman clamps both hands on the wheel, jaw clenched as the destroyer fights the swell. Somewhere behind them, in the long, dark line of merchant ships, steam whistles shriek as captains adjust speed to maintain formation. And then, the first real sign. A lookout screams from the starboard wing. White light, low! Starboard abeam! The phrase knifes through the air. White light at sea, in pitch darkness. That's a flare. A U-boat's flare. Explosive adrenaline sweeps across the bridge. Orders bark out instantly. General quarters. Sound the alarms. Hard over! Sirens howl through the hull, a banshee wail swallowed by the wind. Bletchley Park. Same moment. The Admiralty liaison hut vibrates with urgency. The klaxon still drones. The teleprinter clatters violently, spitting out fragmented phrases. Contact. Visual. U-boat. Torpedo wakes. Multiple. Firing flares. Coordinated. Linwood leans over the machine, pulse hammering. A petty officer reads the line forming letter by letter. Wolfpack surfacing. Attack run. The lieutenant swears under his breath. In this weather, they're insane. Linwood shakes his head. They're desperate. Or confident. He grabs the map, fingers trembling with cold and fear. He overlays the convoy's adjusted course, then the projected wolfpack grid, and finally sees it. Not a coincidence, not chance, a design. They didn't chase the convoy, he whispers. They predicted the diversion. The lieutenant frowns. Predicted it? They know how we think, how we react. They planned for us to dodge. The pack's not scattered. It's ahead, waiting on the curve. The lieutenant's face drains of color. So, the turn led them straight in. Linwood finishes. A heavy silence fills the hut. The only sound is rain slashing the blackout windows. The lieutenant steadies himself. Send updated bearings to western approaches. Immediate. But the teleprinter interrupts, snapping to life again with brutal timing. A fresh intercept from the Atlantic. Linwood grabs it as it prints. Short, precise, almost taunting. 3 hits, 1 burning. His hands clench around the page. North Atlantic. The escort corvette HMS WWII has spotted something. A shadow sliding between waves, impossible to track in the storm, but unmistakably real. Submerged contact. Depth charges, stand by. Range decreasing. The ship pitches violently as the engine room pours on power. White spray blinds half the crew. The captain leans over the rail, coat whipping in the wind, teeth grit against the cold. Behind WWII, Another merchantman lists badly, smoke trailing behind it. Men scramble across the deck, shouting through the roar of the storm. On Viscount's bridge, the officer shouts, "Tell Godisha to hold fire. We need a clean read." But it's too late. A torpedo cuts across the swell, its phosphorescent wake glowing faintly even in the storm. It misses Viscount by meters, slashing past her starboard bow, heading toward the heart of the convoy. The lookout screams, "Torpedo in the column!" Moments later, a distant, sickening boom rolls across the waves. A depth of fire lights up the darkness. One ship down, maybe two. And still no U-boat periscope in sight. They're attacking from underwater, from the surface, and from positions no one expected. It's chaos. Controlled chaos. Which is exactly what the wolfpack wants. Bletchley Park. Linwood stares at the intercepts scattered across the table. The room feels smaller, hotter, though the air is still freezing. "We have to reroute them again," he says. The lieutenant's voice is grim. "If they turn in this storm, they'll live," Linwood snaps. "If they don't..." He doesn't finish, because a new message begins stamping across the teleprinter, longer than before. Structured. Purposeful. Linwood reads it, heart pounding. "Pack shifting west. Second line forming." He exhales sharply. "They're forming a barrier." "Barrier?" the lieutenant asks. Linwood nods slowly, horror dawning. "They're sealing the convoy's escape, a two-line ambush. They've never done this before, never this coordinated." The lieutenant reaches for the phone. "This changes everything." Linwood looks back at the map. If the wolfpack is forming a barrier, then HX-217 hasn't escaped yet. They've only survived the first wave. He whispers to himself, barely audible. This is only the beginning. North Atlantic, 0303 hours. The storm finally shows the faintest hint of breaking. A thinning in the clouds, a slightly lighter smear over the horizon. Not sunlight, but something close to it. Enough to make the heaving black water look metallic instead of bottomless. On HMS Viscount, shaken from near misses and drenched in freezing spray, the bridge crew braces as the destroyer plows through another wall of water. Boots slam against deck plates. A mug rolls back and forth on the chart table, its handle tapping like a heartbeat. "Status of the convoy?" "Scattered but afloat, sir." That shouldn't be possible. Not with a wolf pack this coordinated. A sonar operator, exhausted and pale, lifts his headphones again. "Sir, new echoes. Multiple. Coming in slow." No one says the obvious. Second wave. But something in the echoes feels off. Not a converging pack. Not a charge. They're gliding. Too steadily. Too predictably. Almost like they're repositioning. Or waiting. The watch officer exhales, breath fogging the air. Where the hell are they planning to hit us next? He doesn't know that the answer is being pieced together hundreds of miles away by a man who hasn't slept in nearly 2 days. Bletchley Park, 0307 hours. Linwood stands over a table covered in maps, intercepts, grease pencil marks, and cold tea stains. A second lieutenant from Admiralty Liaison leans beside him, sleeves rolled up, rising tension hidden under a practiced calm. The latest intercept lies open. The one that revealed a second line of U-boats forming to the west. Linwood chews the inside of his cheek, eyes scanning every grid square. His fingers tap the edge of the map. No, that doesn't track. They wouldn't split here unless He goes quiet. The lieutenant waits. Unless what? Linwood circles a distant point on the chart, well ahead of the convoy's position, far beyond the storm-torn stretch where the first attacks hit. Unless they're not planning a typical pincer at all, he says softly. Unless they're building something like a funnel. A funnel? Linwood nods. A trap shaped by the weather. A narrowing corridor. They force the convoy left with the first attack. He moves the pencil. Then west with the second line. Another mark. Until there's only one path left. A channel straight into them. The lieutenant's breath catches. That central group isn't for attacking, Linwood says. It's waiting for the survivors. A cold, dreadful realization settles in the room. This isn't chaotic German aggression. It's planned, calculated. And if Bletchley hadn't intercepted these bursts, no one would know until the convoy sailed straight into the final kill box. Linwood reaches for the older intercepts, the first short bursts, and suddenly his eyes widen. They made a mistake. The lieutenant straightens. What kind of mistake? Linwood grabs one sheet, then another, overlaying them. They reused a wheel position in the third burst. Barely. A single rotor notch. Probably operator fatigue or weather interference. The lieutenant frowns. And you can exploit it? I already can. Linwood pulls a yatta, fresh pad toward him. That repetition gives us their message depth, enough to reconstruct the rhythm of their shifts, enough to predict their next reposition. He pauses. That gives us a path out. The lieutenant stares. A real one? Not safe, Linwood mutters, but open. A window. He marks the position on the chart. If western approaches turns the convoy south-southwest, just for 40 minutes, it breaks the funnel and puts them where? Here. He taps the map. A pocket of sea the wolfpack didn't cover. Too stormy for them to risk surfacing. Too shallow for easy maneuvering. The lieutenant hesitates. Can the convoy even turn like that in this weather? Linwood's voice is steady now. If they don't turn, they die. That's enough. The lieutenant grabs the encrypted phone. Get me western approaches, highest priority. North Atlantic of 3:42 hours. The turn order feels suicidal, but it comes stamped with an ultra flag. No one questions it. Hard to port. Signal the column. All ships adjust. The convoy begins its slow, painful pivot. Merchantmen creaking as captains fight the sea. Tiny figures on decks cling to rails slick with ice. The storm pushes against them like a living thing. Minutes drag. Ships groan. Lines stretch. Columns nearly break. Then, something changes. The sonar echoes. Fade. A radio man blinks at his equipment. Sir, the contacts, they're dropping. The watch officer leans forward. Say again? They're losing us. Or they're out of position. For the first time that night, hope flickers. Small, but real. On the Norwegian freighter, the boatswain mutters a prayer under his breath. The lookout beside him tightens his scarf and says nothing, eyes scanning the calmer horizon. The wolves aren't here, not in this channel, not tonight. One by one, merchant ships pass through the gap into rough but empty water. The funnel breaks, the trap collapses, and the wolf pack, meticulously arranged, suddenly has no target. A single U-boat captain, somewhere beneath the storm, stares through his periscope at an empty patch of sea where 40 ships were supposed to be. He curses. They've been outmaneuvered. Bletchley Park. 0411 hours. The teleprinter rings. A short message. A victory without boasting. Linwood reads it 3 times before exhaling. Convoy through. Minimal loss. Course resumed. He collapses into a chair, burying his face in his cold hands. Not crying, just letting the adrenaline bleed out of his bones. The lieutenant sets a mug of tea beside him. You did it. Linwood shakes his head faintly. No, we listened. The hut is quiet now. The rain has stopped. The first gray line of dawn begins filtering through the blackout curtains. Convoy HX-217 will reach Britain battered, singed, shaken, but afloat. And somewhere in the cold Atlantic, a wolfpack disperses, having learned for the first time that someone is reading their thoughts. This night will never appear in public reports. Linwood's name will never surface. But the convoys will keep arriving, because a codebreaker spotted the moment the rhythm changed, and he turned silence into survival.